They married a human to ensure peace. Then he revealed a power no alien anticipated. For thousands of years, two great alien civilizations ruled the center of the galaxy. One was the Scifi, a calm and elegant race known for light-based technology and peaceful voices. The other was the Valoran, a proud and strong race known for their sharp minds and strict traditions. They were neighbors in space. They shared borders, shared planets, and shared trade routes. For a long time they worked together, but across the years trust slowly faded. Misunderstandings appeared. Every small problem grew bigger. Every small mistake felt heavier. Soon, fear began to grow in their hearts. No one wanted conflict, but both sides believed the other side might one day break agreements. Leaders grew careful. Council meetings turned cold. Friendly visits stopped. Science exchange ended. Ships did not cross borders anymore. The galaxy watched in worry. If these two great nations lost peace, the whole galaxy could suffer. Many planets depended on their trade. Many smaller races depended on their protection. Every world waited, nervous and silent, hoping something would change. Then the Scifi Council made a strange idea. It was old, traditional, and risky. In their oldest history records, there was a custom. When two great powers could not trust words anymore, they could join families instead. A symbolic marriage could turn fear into unity. Two lives would connect so two nations would remember they were not enemies, but partners sharing the same stars. The Valorans agreed. They did not trust empty promises anymore, but a shared bond felt different. If two nations trusted one single person enough to join families, then maybe peace could breathe again. But there was a new twist. This time the Scifi suggested something no one expected. They said, let the partner be from a neutral race. A race that does not belong to either side, a race that stands between us like a bridge. Many names were spoken, many were rejected. Then almost quietly someone said one simple word, human. Humans were new to the galaxy, young, curious, not the most advanced, not the strongest, not the oldest, but they held something different: heart, adaptability, strange courage, and the ability to smile even when life was hard. They learned fast, they tried hard, and most important, they believed deeply in peace. The idea surprised both great nations. Humans were small compared to them. Human ships were simple. Human history was short. But humans had a reputation. They never stopped trying. They always stood up again after falling. Many aliens respected that quiet strength. So both nations agreed. A human would become a symbolic partner. That human would live among them, learn from them, and stand as proof that peace could exist. Every alien nation in the galaxy watched. Messages spread. News flashed everywhere. Some aliens laughed gently and said, "This is cute." Others said, "This is foolish." But many whispered, "Maybe this will work." Earth listened to the request with surprise. It was the first time in history that great alien powers trusted a human in such a serious way. Earth did not take it lightly. Many meetings happened. Leaders talked for long nights. Scientists worried. Cultural experts talked about risks. But in the end, Earth understood something important. If this step could help save peace, then humans should try. So Earth needed a representative. Someone calm, someone kind, someone strong in spirit but gentle in words, someone who could stand between great civilizations without fear, without pride, and without anger. They chose Ethan Hale. Ethan was not a soldier. He was not a super genius. He was not a famous hero. He was an ambassador who believed deeply in understanding others. He had visited alien worlds before. He listened more than he spoke. He smiled often but thought carefully. He respected every culture he met. Many aliens already trusted him. When Ethan heard the request, he stood silent for a long moment. He understood what it meant. This was not just a ceremony. This was trust, responsibility, hope. Billions of lives might depend on whether he could help others believe in peace again. He did not think about fame. He did not think about fear. He thought about children on planets who deserved a quiet sky and safe future. After that, his answer was simple. He said, "Yes, I will do my best." Soon, preparations began. Human engineers helped build a special ship for the journey. It was not a warship. It was not a luxury ship. It was calm, beautiful, and peaceful. Soft lights, comfortable rooms, friendly design. It was a symbol of unity before he even arrived. The day of departure arrived. Earth gathered to watch. Cities showed his launch on giant screens. Families watched at home. Students watched in schools. People whispered in hope. No one laughed. No one feared. They all wished him strength. Ethan stepped aboard the ship wearing a simple but elegant suit, not royal, not extravagant, just respectful and neat. He carried no weapon, no symbol of power. He carried only trust. The ship lifted from Earth slowly, like a gentle promise rising into the sky. Clouds opened. Space welcomed him. The stars waited. The journey to the neutral meeting world took days. During that time, Ethan studied everything about Serenai culture and Valoran culture. He memorized traditions. He practiced common gestures so he would not accidentally insult anyone. He studied history so he could understand their wounds and fears. He did not think, "How do I look powerful?" He thought, "How do I show respect? How do I help them feel safe?" Finally, the ship reached the neutral star system. The meeting world was beautiful: soft blue oceans, gentle white clouds, shining silver cities built by both nations together. It was the only place both races equally owned. It was the heart of hope. Two grand landing platforms waited like open hands. On one side stood tall Valorans with golden armor-style clothing and focused eyes. On the other side stood elegant Serenai beings with calm, light-woven robes that seemed to softly glow. Above them, floating banners shimmered with bright colors representing peace. When Ethan's ship landed, the whole crowd fell silent. The air felt thick with expectation. No one knew what a human would look like up close, how he would walk, how he would speak. Many records described humans as soft creatures or simple beings. Many expected someone nervous or overwhelmed. The door opened. Ethan stepped out slowly. He looked around not with fear but with warmth. He bowed gently to both sides, showing equal respect. His voice was calm when he spoke through the translator system. "Thank you for trusting my people. Thank you for trusting me. I am honored to stand here and do my part for peace." Voices whispered through the crowd. Some aliens had expected a proud tone. Others expected fear. Instead, they heard kindness, honest kindness, and something even more surprising: quiet confidence. The ceremony began. It was not like human weddings. There were no rings, no flowers, no typical Earth traditions. Instead, both alien nations brought ancient symbols. The Serenai brought a crystal sphere that held soft light. It represented calm understanding. The Valorans brought a small metal crest shaped like a star. It represented responsibility and loyalty. Together, these symbols were placed between Ethan and the Serenai representative chosen to stand beside him in this symbolic bond. Her name was Elara, a dignified Serenai leader with gentle eyes like shining starlight. She did not marry him in the human romantic sense. This was not about romance. This was about unity, respect, and trust between worlds. Elara spoke first, her voice like music. "We welcome humanity into this promise. We trust your heart. We trust your spirit." Then the Valoran High Commander spoke with a firm voice full of strength. "We accept this symbol as a reminder. We are not enemies. We are partners in the galaxy." Ethan placed his hand upon both symbols. Elara placed her hand beside his. The two lights merged, metal and light glowing together, filling the hall with a warm, calm glow. Everyone watched with wide eyes. The moment felt gentle but powerful. The galaxy now had a new bond. After the ceremony, there were peaceful celebrations. Music of many cultures filled the air. Food from both nations was shared. Children laughed. Leaders smiled carefully, trying to relax after years of tension. Reporters from countless worlds recorded everything. Ethan did not act like a grand hero. He did not act like a ruler. He acted like a guest who truly wanted to understand everyone. He talked with elders. He listened to young students. He learned about customs with honest interest. When he smiled, it was never forced. That night, while celebrations continued, leaders from both nations met in a grand hall overlooking the stars. Ethan was invited to sit among them, not below them, not apart from them, but beside them as an equal presence. This small detail meant everything. As he sat there listening to their careful words, Ethan understood something important. The ceremony had created peace, but only on the surface. He could see tension in their eyes. He could feel quiet fear behind their polite smiles. Many still worried. Many still doubted. Many still thought this may not last. And deep inside, Ethan made a silent promise to himself and to every world watching. He would not simply be a symbol. He would become someone they could truly trust. He would learn, understand, and stand strong. Because peace was not a decoration. Peace was work. Peace needed heart. Peace needed courage. And humanity could give that. Ethan looked out at the stars beyond the glass wall, and the galaxies seemed to whisper gently around him. The journey of peace had only begun. No one knew yet that this quiet human carried something greater than anyone expected. Not a weapon, not power, but something deeper waiting to shine when the time would come. For now, the galaxy rested a little easier. Hope had a new face. And it was human. The first days after the great ceremony were quiet but full of soft tension. On the surface, everything looked peaceful. The Scifi cities glowed gently with light, and the Valoran structures stood bright and proud beside them. Streets were calm. People spoke politely. Leaders smiled when cameras looked at them. But under all this calm beauty, silent worry still lived. Peace had been announced, but trust still needed to grow. Ethan Hale now lived on the shared capital world, in a special residence built together by both nations. Half of the building followed Scifi designs with floating lights, open windows, and soft music that seemed to breathe gently in the air. The other half showed Valoran style, strong walls, clear lines, warm golden metal, and quiet strength in every corner. This residence was not just a place to sleep. It was a symbol. It showed that two very different cultures could stand together in one structure without falling apart. Every morning, Ethan woke early. He stood by the window and looked at the shining city. He saw air vehicles moving smoothly through glowing skylanes. He saw children of both races walking to school together. He saw markets where different foods, colors, and crafts mixed like a living painting. He always smiled softly when he looked outside. It reminded him why he was here. He was not here to be famous. He was here to help hope stay alive. Soon, the daily work began. Learning instead of controlling. Both civilizations expected Ethan to need help all the time. They expected him to feel confused and lost in their advanced world. Many believed he would simply stand like a symbol and nothing more. But Ethan did something unexpected. He learned. He did not sit in his residence waiting for people to bring him news. He visited the Scifi learning halls. He sat in Valoran council rooms. He joined communication briefings and cultural classes. He even visited schools and listened like a humble student. He learned Scifi language sounds, slow and careful at first, then smoother with each day. He practiced Valoran formal speech patterns, which were direct and orderly. Many aliens stared in surprise the first time they heard a human voice speaking their native sounds correctly. Humans learn this fast. One Scifi teacher whispered in wonder. A Valoran advisor nodded slowly. This one does. But it was not only language he learned. He studied traditions, greetings, laws, and history. He wanted to understand every fear, every dream, every emotional scar each nation carried. He knew something important. Some Scifi leaders quietly wondered if humans were truly strong enough to be at the center of peace. Some Valoran commanders thought humans were too soft and emotional, so they watched Ethan very carefully. They watched how he walked. They watched how he spoke. They watched if he ever lost patience or showed pride. But day after day, Ethan remained calm, kind, and steady. He never spoke too loudly. He never acted like he knew everything. He asked questions with respect. He listened more than he talked. Soon, even the quiet observers began to feel something new: curiosity. This human was not like the simple descriptions in old records. He was patient, thoughtful, and strangely warm. He did not seek to look important. He only tried to understand everyone. And that made him different. Meeting the people, one of the most important things Ethan did was spend time with ordinary citizens, not just leaders. He walked in the city parks. He visited food markets. He sat in small cafes designed for multiple species. At first, people only stared from a distance. Children whispered and hid behind parents, peeking curiously at the human visitor. But Ethan always gave a gentle smile and a small, friendly wave. Slowly, people felt safe approaching. A Serenite child once asked him in a shy voice. A Valoran young student asked seriously. Bit by bit, trust began to grow like small green plants breaking through stone. Whispers of hidden trouble, but even while hope slowly grew, something else was happening in the shadows. Behind closed doors, secret conversations were taking place. Not everyone wanted peace. Some groups believed peace made them weaker. Some feared change. Some lived so long in distrust that they could not believe in cooperation anymore. In some places, quiet rumors began to spread. Peace will not last. Nothing large enough to cause panic, but just enough to make everyone nervous. Leaders tried to stay calm. Citizens tried to trust. But deep in the halls of power, tension slowly returned. Ethan notices what others miss. Ethan did not have alien super-intelligence. He did not have psychic powers or special abilities. But he had a very human strength. He paid attention. He saw how Serenai voices sounded slightly worried when they thought no one was listening. He noticed how Valoran generals spoke calmly on the outside, but their hands tightened behind their backs. He noticed patterns in the small technical failures. Nothing was random. Something felt planned. But instead of accusing anyone or spreading fear, Ethan chose a different path. He started talking to people more, not to question, but to understand. He visited ship engineers and asked kindly. They taught him, and while they spoke, he listened deeply. He visited council analysts. How do you handle crisis situations normally? He asked. They explained. And again he listened. Slowly, a picture began to form in his mind. The systems were strong. The technology was incredible. But the trust between the two races was still fragile. Every small mistake hurt bigger because fear still lived quietly inside hearts. Ethan understood something very important. Technology was not the real problem. Fear was. And fear could not be defeated by machines. It needed something else: understanding, honesty, connection, growing respect. Meanwhile, both great civilizations slowly began to see something they never expected. Humans adapt. They do not collapse when they are confused. They do not quit when things are difficult. They do not freeze when others doubt them. They keep going. Ethan started joining high council meetings not as a quiet symbol but as a real voice. When discussions grew tense, he calmly reminded both sides of shared goals. When misunderstandings appeared, he translated emotions into clearer meaning. Not language translation, heart translation. Sometimes, the Serenai would speak in a very gentle way that the Valoran misunderstood as weakness. Ethan would explain. Slowly, boundaries began to soften. Slowly, they began to understand each other again. Elara's observation. Elara, the Serenai representative who shared the symbolic union bond, watched Ethan closely. She was wise, thoughtful, and gentle. She had seen many leaders in her long life. She had seen power, intelligence, and pride. But Ethan was different. One evening, after a long council session, she spoke to him while they walked through a glowing garden filled with soft, shimmering flowers. "You surprise our galaxy, Ethan Hale," she said softly. He smiled a little. "How so? You are not loud, yet people listen to you. You are not powerful, yet people feel safe around you. You are not old in years, but you carry a calm spirit like someone who has lived many lives." Ethan laughed very softly. "Humans, we learn from our hardships. Maybe that calm comes from knowing we always find a way forward." Elara looked at him thoughtfully. "Many believed humans were simple, but you are not simple. You are quietly strong. This is a strength we did not expect." Her words stayed with him. The hidden eyes of doubt, of course, while some hearts began to warm, others grew colder. In hidden corners of space stations and secret rooms, those who disliked peace watched Ethan carefully. He is winning their trust. Days turned into weeks. Ethan continued to learn, connect, and bridge differences. The galaxy slowly began to relax. Trade routes reopened. Shared projects restarted. Students from both civilizations began studying together again. But peace is like fragile glass. Beautiful, precious, easily shaken. Everyone believed the hardest part was already done. They were wrong. Something big was coming, something no one expected. And when it arrived, everyone would see the truth about humanity. But for now, Ethan stood on a high balcony one night, looking out over the shining city. Stars sparkled above the capital world like silent watchers. Cool wind brushed softly past him. He whispered gently to himself. He did not fear the future. He simply felt responsible for it. Far below him, the city rested peacefully, not knowing that everything was about to change. And when it did, Valoran metals reflected bright gold in the distance. But beneath the beauty, small signs of trouble began to appear. It started slowly. At first, the disruptions were minor. Communication channels between the city and outer colonies glitched for a few seconds. Energy grids flickered in one district, then another. Air transport systems miscalculated paths by mere meters. Nothing major, technicians quickly fixed everything. But the message was clear. Someone, or something, wanted to test the strength of this new piece. Most leaders ignored it at first, thinking it was a minor technical problem. But Ethan Hale noticed it immediately. He had spent weeks studying the city's systems, understanding the schedules, and learning how both the Scifi and Valoran technologies worked. Even the smallest irregularity caught his attention. He spoke to Elara quietly in the glowing garden that evening. "They repeat in timing, in location, and in impact. Someone is testing us. They want to see how we react." Elara's usual calm shifted slightly. Who could? The next day, the problem escalated. The gravity stabilization system of the city faltered. For a few minutes, towers, vehicles, and even people began to float slightly above the ground. Panic spread instantly. Citizens screamed, children clutched parents, and officials ran to control rooms. Ethan did not panic. He stepped forward immediately. His voice, calm yet firm, reached everyone. Scifi and Valoran engineers, inspired by his composure, worked faster. Humans were not expected to understand advanced alien technology, yet Ethan could read the panic and direct the teams. He suggested the simplest solutions first, focusing on immediate safety instead of complex analysis. Slowly, gravity returned to normal. Leaders watched him in disbelief. A human they had thought small and weak had guided their most complicated systems during the first real crisis. Whispers ran through the halls. Calmness, he knew, was more powerful than pride. Ships lose control hours later. The problem expanded to transportation. Air vehicles, normally precise to millimeters, began drifting. Routes collided, alarms blared, and emergency protocols triggered. Some citizens were trapped in transit hubs. Others feared leaving their homes. Ethan moved among the control centers, speaking clearly and calmly to the engineers. His presence reassured them. They followed his guidance without question. In minutes, the drift slowed. Vehicles returned to normal lanes. No one was hurt. Leaders now saw clearly that Ethan's strength was not in machines or raw power. It was in people. He understood fear and strategy, and he could inspire confidence in those around him. The suspicion of sabotage by evening, all signs pointed to intentional sabotage. No natural event could explain the timing, the targeted systems, and the repeated failures. Ethan gathered leaders from both civilizations in the central council chamber. He spoke slowly and carefully, choosing words to unite instead of divide. Whoever is behind this wants to divide us. Do not give them that power. Both Elara and the Valoran commander Tarlon looked at him closely. They were used to harsh accusations and prideful defense, but Ethan's calm words reminded them of their common goal. He continued, "We need a clear plan. We will divide responsibilities based on strengths. Saranai engineers focus on energy and communications. Valoran teams focus on transportation and defense. I will coordinate and ensure everyone works together." The leaders agreed, though some reluctantly. No one expected a human to organize such a complex operation successfully. Calm in the midst of fear for hours, Ethan moved through every control room, every emergency hub, and every department. He spoke to terrified citizens calmly. He carried a small child on his shoulder while guiding them back to safety. Children who once hid from him now ran to him with trust in their eyes. The Saranai and Valoran teams began to rely on his calm presence. Panic decreased. Cooperation increased. Ethan's quiet leadership reminded everyone of something vital. Courage was not the absence of fear, it was the control of it. Patterns and clues, once immediate dangers, were stabilized. Ethan began analyzing the patterns of the failures. He used simple methods, observing timing, location, and sequence, but with clear, logical reasoning. He noticed one fact that most others overlooked. The glitches always appeared near nodes that connected both civilization systems. They were testing cooperation, not just technology. "This is a message," he said to Elara. "The saboteur wants to see if we fight each other first or if we work together. They want to divide us." Elara nodded, realizing the truth. "Then the real test is not machines, it's us." Uniting the people, Ethan realized that winning this test required more than technical skill. It required unity. He spoke in the city's main square through a broadcast system. His voice was calm, direct, and human. "Systems may fail, but together we are stronger than any technology. Trust each other, help each other, protect life first. We will overcome this challenge together." For the first time in weeks, the city felt genuinely calm. Even the most frightened citizens held on to hope. Leaders realized something extraordinary. Humans had a natural ability to inspire cooperation across differences. It was not strength or speed or advanced technology. They could unite hearts. The first real test of humanity, the next day brought the most severe challenge yet. A major energy node went offline, causing a blackout in half the city. Emergency lights flickered, and panic threatened to rise again. Ethan acted immediately. He organized human, Saranai, and Valoran teams to repair the node. He directed engineers where to focus first. He encouraged citizens to stay calm, and he personally checked on vulnerable areas, ensuring safety. By the end of the day, power was restored. No one was injured. The city breathed again. Leaders whispered among themselves, astonished. "This human, he has no superpowers, yet he prevented disaster." It came from courage, patience, understanding, and the ability to inspire others to act together. A moment of reflection that night, Ethan stood in the balcony of his residence. Stars glimmered above the city. He felt the weight of responsibility, yet also hope. Elara joined him quietly. "You did more than anyone expected today," she said softly. Ethan shook his head. "I didn't do it alone. The people did it themselves. I only reminded them they could." Elara smiled. "You are teaching the galaxy something new." Strength is not just machines or weapons. Strength is courage and trust. Ethan looked out at the shining city below. Children laughed again. Citizens helped each other. Engineers worked tirelessly. Leaders, once suspicious, now coordinated without fear. He realized something important. This crisis was not only a challenge, it was an opportunity. An opportunity to show that humanity could stand at the center of a fragile, diverse galaxy. And if humans could teach this lesson, maybe peace could last longer than anyone imagined. The calm before the next storm. As the city rested, Ethan remained vigilant. He studied the patterns of failure, listened to reports, and prepared quietly for what might come next. He did not fear. He only focused on solutions. Because he knew, deep in his heart, the galaxy had given him a chance to show a power no alien had anticipated. Not firepower, not psychic ability, not speed or strength. The power of a human heart. The power to unite, inspire, and protect. And soon, the galaxy would see the full measure of that power. The city had recovered from the first waves of disruptions, but the threat was far from over. Ethan Hale stood in the command center of the capital world, surrounded by both Scifi and Valoran engineers. Large screens displayed the city's status, energy grids, air traffic, communication networks, all operational now. Yet a quiet tension lingered in the air. Every officer, citizen, and leader felt it. The crisis had not ended. Ethan examined the patterns he had collected. The glitches had become more coordinated. It was no longer random technical failure. It was deliberate. Someone was testing how well these civilizations could work together under pressure and judging how far they would bend before breaking. He sighed, calmly, thoughtfully. "They are watching," he said to Ilara and Tarlon. "Every failure, every repair, every reaction, they are studying us, but I think I know what they truly want." Ilara's eyes narrowed. "To divide us." Ethan shook his head gently. "To make us doubt each other. To turn fear into anger. To see if we would fight each other instead of cooperating. But they are forgetting one thing." Tarlon, skeptical, leaned forward. "What is that?" Ethan's voice was quiet but firm. "Humans have a power that cannot be measured by technology, strength, or speed. We can unite hearts. We can inspire trust even when fear is everywhere. That is what they did not expect." Coordinating the response. Over the next hours, Ethan began directing teams in a way the aliens had never seen. Not as a commander giving orders from a distance, but as someone who understood how to connect people. He spoke with engineers, students, guards, and officials from both civilizations as if they were equals. "Focus here first," he said to a group of Valoran engineers. "Make the stabilization sequence simple and visible so the Scifi can monitor it and help." He turned to the Scifi engineers. "Coordinate with them step by step. Do not act separately. Our success depends on trust." Leaders whispered among themselves. No human had ever been so confident in such advanced technology, yet the human was right. Teams began working together seamlessly. Children, citizens, and minor staff who were previously panicked began following instructions. Humans, Scifi, and Valoran moved as one. Energy nodes stabilized faster than expected. Vehicles returned to correct paths. Communications became fully operational. Everywhere Ethan went, he quietly reminded people, "Trust each other, stay calm, work together." The test becomes clear by evening. The pattern of sabotage became undeniable. Systems failures appeared only at points where both civilizations needed to cooperate. Alone, a single team could handle a glitch. But when coordination was required, chaos could emerge. Ethan realized the truth. The saboteur was not attacking technology alone. They were attacking trust. They wanted the Scifi and Valoran to blame each other. They wanted the fragile alliance to collapse. Most leaders panicked. "If this continues, the city could be destroyed," Tarlon said, his voice tight with fear. Ethan looked at him calmly. "Not if we show them what humans can do." "What do you mean?" Elara asked. He smiled faintly. It is not about weapons, it is not about machines, it is about people. We need to prove that even under fear we can unite. That is a power no one else has and no one expected. The leaders stared. Ethan was not boasting, he was planning. And slowly they realized that what he said was true. The human power in action. Ethan moved through the city. Every time a minor panic began, children floating too high in failing gravity pods, citizens confused about transport reroutes, engineers doubting their calculations, he intervened. Not with authority, but with calm guidance. He comforted frightened children. Hold my hand. You are safe, we will fix this. He encouraged hesitant engineers. Check the pattern again, together step by step. Don't worry alone, we are here. He mediated arguments between Serenai and Valoran teams. Your approach is correct, but theirs is too. Combine them. Learn from each other. Slowly, the city began moving in unison. People worked together not because they were told to, but because they chose to. Humans, aliens, Serenai, Valoran all began cooperating naturally. Fear began to dissolve. The aliens watching were stunned. They had expected confusion, anger, and blame. Instead, they saw a coordinated, calm effort led by a human who inspired trust without raising his voice. One Valoran officer whispered, I don't understand, he has no special weapon, yet the city functions better under him than under any of us. Elara nodded quietly. He uses something stronger than any weapon, unity, confronting the saboteur. By the second day, it became clear the sabotage was ongoing and deliberate. Ethan had already mapped the most likely sources. The system anomalies pointed to a remote research station on the outskirts of the capital system. This is where we must go, Ethan said. But we do not fight, we observe, we understand. We show our strength not by destruction but by cooperation. Elara and Tarlan hesitated. Normally they would have sent weapons first, but Ethan's calm logic convinced them. Teams approached the station. As they entered, they discovered it empty. No visible enemy, no direct threat, just controls, screens, and automated patterns continuing the sabotage remotely. Ethan studied the system. The saboteur is clever, he said. They did not want to be caught. They wanted us to fight each other instead, but we did not. That is the point. They underestimated humans. The lesson of humanity at that moment. Ethan spoke to all leaders, both Serenai and Valoran, over the communication network. His voice was calm, sincere, and inspiring. Look at what we have done. Systems were failing. Chaos surrounded us. Fear was everywhere. And yet we are still here, still working together. Not because of weapons, not because of technology, not because of strength alone, but because we chose to trust, to listen, and to act together. He paused, letting the words sink in. This is the power humans carry. We unite. We inspire cooperation. We protect each other. We work together even when it seems impossible. That is why we survived this test. That is why peace can endure. That is why no force, no machine, no plan, no weapon can break us when we stand together. Across the galaxy's monitors, citizens and leaders watched. They felt it. Something unexplainable yet undeniable. A power that came not from strength or age or technology, but from courage, heart, and unity. Whispers ran across the city. The Serenai, who valued elegance and order, realized that calm human courage could rival their most precise light-based technology. The Valoran, who valued strength and discipline, realized that patience, connection, and compassion could achieve results faster than their most rigorous planning. Both civilizations saw something new. Humans were not fragile. Humans were not weak. Humans carried an invisible power that could change the outcome of wars, alliances, and survival itself. Even Elara was amazed. I always thought strength meant control. Now I see strength can be patience, kindness, and courage too. Tarlan, once skeptical, nodded slowly. We have underestimated humanity, but now we see the truth. Their power is subtle yet more dangerous than any weapon. It can change minds and hearts. Victory without violence. By the third day, the city was fully stable. All systems were operational. Citizens were safe. Fear had diminished. Panic had been replaced by confidence. No weapons had been fired. No one had been harmed. And yet, the message of human power had been clear. Ethan's quiet leadership had turned a potentially devastating sabotage into a demonstration of what humanity could do. It was not the strongest species that had won the day. It was the species that inspired trust, unity, and cooperation. The aliens were stunned. They had come expecting a simple symbol, a human who could only observe. Instead, they had witnessed a living lesson. Humans could unite civilizations under pressure in ways no other species could. Reflection and understanding. That night, Ethan returned to the balcony of his residence. Stars shone over the capital world like distant fires, calm and eternal. He thought about the city, the citizens, and the leaders who had watched him closely. He understood something deeply. Power was not measured in weapons, speed, or control. Power could be measured in courage, hope, compassion, and the ability to inspire others. That was humanity's greatest gift. That was humanity's true strength. Elara joined him quietly, placing a hand on his shoulder. "You showed them what humans can do," she said softly. Ethan nodded. "No, Elara, they already could. I only reminded them. Humans have always survived by trusting each other and standing together. That is all we needed to show them," she smiled. "Then the galaxy has seen the future in your hands." Ethan looked at the stars and whispered, almost to himself, "If we can show them peace under fear, imagine what we can do when the galaxy faces greater challenges." And far away, in hidden places, the saboteur, who had hoped to divide civilizations, watched in frustration. Their plan had failed. The human had revealed a power no alien had anticipated. Humanity had proven itself, not with weapons, not with strength, but with heart. And the galaxy would never underestimate humans again. The capital city had recovered. Systems were restored. Panic had faded. Citizens returned to their daily lives. Serenai light shimmered calmly across towers, and Valoran metals reflected the steady glow of the twin suns. Yet the air was different. Everyone sensed it. Something had changed. The recent crisis had tested not only technology but trust, courage, and unity. And through it, a human had emerged not merely as a symbol, but as a guide. Ethan Hale, standing quietly on the balcony of his residence, observed the city below. Children ran through the streets with laughter. Citizens helped one another. Engineers coordinated seamlessly. And leaders, once suspicious, now moved with shared understanding. Peace had endured, and the galaxy had learned an invaluable lesson: the alien realization. In the Grand Council Hall, both Serenai and Valoran leaders gathered to review the crisis and the response. The atmosphere was unusually calm. Where there had once been tension, suspicion, and pride, there was now mutual respect and thoughtful reflection. Elara, representing the Serenai, spoke first. Her voice was soft yet clear. "We once believed that strength is power, technology, and longevity, yet we have witnessed something greater. We have seen courage, patience, and the ability to unite even under fear. A human, small in stature and young in history, has shown us what we lacked in these qualities." Tarlon, the Valoran commander, nodded slowly. His usual rigid demeanor softened. "We underestimated humans," he admitted. "We assumed they were simple, fragile, and unprepared. But this one human, Ethan Hale, has proven that strength comes not from arms or shields, but from heart, courage, and the ability to inspire unity." Both leaders paused as the gravity of the statement sank in. Across the galaxy, civilizations had long relied on weapons, technology, and dominance to secure survival. And now, they were reminded of a different type of power: human power. Ethan's quiet leadership. Ethan had never sought recognition. He had never asked for reward. His goal had always been simple: protect lives, encourage cooperation, and help civilizations trust each other again. Yet now, the aliens acknowledged what humans had always known. True power is not measured by machines or strength. True power lies in courage, hope, and connection. Ethan met with leaders individually over the next several days. He listened carefully, asked questions, and offered guidance. He encouraged joint projects, collaborative trade agreements, and shared education programs. Every conversation was calm, respectful, and aimed at strengthening relationships rather than creating hierarchies. By observing him, the Serenai and Valoran began to realize the full potential of humanity. Humans were adaptable. Humans could survive in unfamiliar conditions. Humans could inspire trust and collaboration in ways that no other species had mastered. And most importantly, humans could stand between civilizations and remind them of what truly mattered: life, cooperation, and hope. The citizens respond. Meanwhile, ordinary citizens noticed the difference as well. Families spoke of the human ambassador with respect. "Did you see him today?" a Serenai parent whispered to another. "He helped the engineers fix the air systems faster than anyone expected." "And he calmed the children at the same time." Valoran workers nodded. "He does not command, he guides, he inspires. Our teams have never worked this smoothly." Children, too, noticed. They had seen fear in the streets during the crisis, yet this human remained calm, guiding everyone without anger or pride. Slowly, hope began to take root, not only in leaders' minds but in the hearts of every citizen. Through Ethan, humanity had shown that even small, seemingly simple beings could make a great difference in the galaxy. A formal recognition, the leaders of both civilizations decided to hold a grand ceremony to honor what had been accomplished. Not as a human reward, but as a declaration to the entire galaxy. Humans were now recognized as a vital part of interstellar peace. The capital city's main square was transformed into a place of celebration. Lights shimmered in multiple colors, representing the diversity of the galaxy. Music played softly, blending Serenai harmonies with Valoran rhythms. Citizens from both nations gathered together, speaking in mixed languages, laughing and sharing food. At the center, Ethan stood beside Elara and Tarlon. The crowd watched in silence as leaders spoke. Elara's voice carried across the square. "And we recognize the one who has reminded us of what true strength is. Humanity has shown us that courage, cooperation, and compassion can overcome fear and division." Tarlon added, his usual stern expression softened. "Let this be remembered: humans are not fragile. Humans are a force for unity, resilience, and hope." The crowd erupted in cheers. Citizens waved hands, clapped, and celebrated together, yet it was not noisy or chaotic. It was calm joy, shared across species, born of gratitude and recognition. Ethan, standing quietly, smiled gently. He bowed his head in respect, not for himself, but for the citizens and leaders who had worked together. The symbolic bond strengthened. The marriage bond, initially symbolic, now carried deeper meaning. It was no longer just a ceremony to encourage peace. It had become a living reminder of what cooperation and trust could achieve. Ethan and Elara stood together, representatives of unity between humans and Serenai. The Valoran High Commander, Tarlon, stood beside them, symbolizing collaboration across differences. The bond had transcended formality. It was now a reflection of shared purpose. Humanity had become more than an observer. It had become an active, respected part of galactic life. Citizens watched as Ethan and the alien leaders walked together through the square, interacting with everyone equally. No one felt distant. No one felt excluded. For the first time in generations, differences seemed smaller than shared values. The galaxy responds news of the human ambassador's achievement spread rapidly across the galaxy. Communications channels relayed the story to distant colonies and neighboring systems. Messages poured in: congratulations, admiration, and curiosity. Many civilizations had underestimated humanity. Many had doubted that such a young species could play a meaningful role in interstellar affairs. Now, they reconsidered. Humans, a distant leader asked their advisors. Perhaps we have judged them too soon. They may be fragile physically, but they hold a power we have not measured before. This power, unity, could change everything. Throughout the galaxy, humans were no longer seen as small, weak, or irrelevant. They were seen as a bridge, a species capable of inspiring cooperation, calming conflict, and encouraging trust among even the most advanced civilizations. Reflection on humanity's strength. Ethan reflected on the events quietly. He had not acted for fame. He had not sought power. His goal had been simple: help, guide, and protect. Yet through this calm action, humanity's role in the galaxy became clear. Strength is not only measured in physical ability or technology. Strength is measured in courage. Strength is measured in patience. Strength is measured in the ability to connect and inspire others. These were the qualities humans carried naturally. And now the galaxy had seen them in action. Ethan realized that humanity's future would be full of challenges. There would be conflicts, crises, and threats, yet unseen. But if humans continued to act with courage, empathy, and unity, they could influence the galaxy in ways that no other species could. A quiet celebration that evening, the city celebrated again, this time privately for Ethan and the citizens who had worked tirelessly. Humans, Saranai, and Valoran joined together in simple joy, sharing food, laughter, and music. Ethan walked among the citizens quietly, talking to children, thanking engineers, and listening to stories of survival during the crisis. No one treated him as a ruler. He treated them as equals. One child asked, "Will humans come back to help again?" Ethan smiled gently. "Yes, humans will always try to help when they can, and maybe one day you will help too." Elara watched him with quiet admiration. "You have changed the galaxy in ways most leaders could never imagine." Ethan shook his head. "I did not change it alone. Everyone here did. Humans only remind people what they can do when they stand together." The lasting lesson, the crisis had passed, but its lesson remained. The galaxy now understood. Power is not only measured by technology. Strength is not only measured by force. True courage comes from the heart, and true influence comes from inspiring others. Humans had shown that even a young, small species could have a profound impact on the galaxy, and that knowledge would last for generations. A new beginning in the weeks that followed. Humans were invited to join diplomatic councils across the galaxy. Earth became a respected voice in interstellar decisions. New projects of trade, research, and education flourished. Humans traveled to distant worlds not as invaders or guests, but as partners. Ethan Hale continued his work quietly, guiding, listening, and connecting. He never sought fame, yet his actions had ensured something far greater than recognition. Humanity had earned its place among the stars. For the first time, the galaxy saw humans not as small and fragile, but as a species capable of shaping peace, inspiring trust, and uniting civilizations through courage, heart, and hope. The twin suns set over the capital world. Soft light reflected off the towers. Citizens walked home together, smiling, calm, and confident. The Saranai and Valoran leaders watched over them with new understanding, and Ethan Hale stood quietly, knowing the future of the galaxy had changed, and that humanity's journey had only just begun. And across the stars, one truth became clear: humanity had arrived, not as conquerors, not as weapons, but as a force for unity, courage, and hope. The galaxy would never forget the day a human revealed a power no alien anticipated.